The rule of law regulates how people conduct themselves. The absence of it or lack of enforcement of the rule of law becomes a culture of impunity. Where there are no consequences for criminals, people become law unto themselves. They do as they please. Any law, including bylaw, if not enforced, is as good as non-existent. We have no choice but to enforce our laws if they are to be respected. That is how we create a culture in which there is a rule of law. We, as public safety, we are going to enforce this law consistently, with respect, and constitutionally. It starts with small things like spitting, urinating in the street. If you allow people to urinate everywhere without any consequences, you may as well forget about crime prevention. When Lee Kuan-yew started to build Singapore, he introduced an anti-spitting law and imposed fine. You'll pay a fine or stay in jail for spitting saliva in the street of Singapore. Today, Singapore is one of the most beautiful and cleanest cities in the world. We, as JMPD, under the multi-party government, will make sure that the city of Johannesburg is one of the best. We can't be beaten by Kigali in Rwanda, as the city of Johannesburg will ensure that we do that. In Singapore, they used to punish the most senior people to make example to the rest of society. For example, when a deputy minister went on a holiday that was paid up by the businessman, he was arrested at the airport upon arrival and sent straight to jail. The message was clear. It was zero tolerance on corruption. Madam Mayor, it is very clear that some of the customers of the city are not paying their services because they are working in cahoots with our own city officials. The culture of corruption has fastened through the system. For an example, in licensing, the General Sbiya, yesterday, if not day before yesterday, has arrested some of our people who are working there. Our own official who are selling licenses. Imagine if you sell a license to a person who can't even drive. Then we wonder, why did we have 70 people who died during the Christmas time? Our Metro Police, it's perceived that they are notorious for asking cold drink. I think Angie is listening very carefully on this one. Some are collecting fees from street vendors. Some of the police are collecting money for the buildings that have been hijacked in the inner city. So it must start with us. But let me be clear, Buya Mthetho is back under the multi-party government. Ubuyile umthetho. We will not tolerate officials taking bribe. We are reviving the anti-bribe unit and strengthening our undercover unit to fight corruption. I had a serious meeting with General Sbiya with this regard on how we are going to involve IPID, SAPS, the Hawks, having a unit that will drive around, ensure that corruption in our city and in our ranks is taken care of. We'll be arresting our own officers and officials to send a strong message out there that we mean business. Soon, we'll start having what we call it smart roadblock, because we're doing this to ensure that everybody pay his dues. Public safety is owed 86 million. of which 42 million is money belonging to JMPD and 33 million is owed to EMS. Madam Mayor, I wouldn't like to mention names, but we are not here to mention names of the people who are owing us. From Monday, we'll be on their backs. Pay now or face the consequences. Public safety is not there to collect money. Public safety is there to save life. And how do you save life? You save life because you create consequences for those who break the rule of law. Madam Mayor, our core business is to ensure the safety of our people and enforce the rule of law. However, we'll be putting measures to enhance law enforcement on one hand while generating revenue on the other. We must make those who transgress to pay their dues. Operation Buya Mthetho is already on the ground, and our law enforcement officers will be an integral part in ensuring that those who connect our electricity and water illegally or who fail to pay are cut off. We will soon be implementing speed control contract on our roads. I have to mention this. As I've said, 70 people died in Johannesburg. It has never happened because people know that there are no speed cameras on our road. So they drive recklessly. We are going to introduce again Operation Nomaganjan under Buya Mthetho. If you drive recklessly, when it comes to infrastructure, whereby the robots are just damaged, either by drunken drivers or reckless drivers, or people who steal cables, because now they are targeting our robots. Just imagine how many people died because our infrastructure are being damaged. Hijacked buildings will be restored to their rightful owners. We want our people to walk freely in our streets and our children to play safe in the parks. We had a very, very good discussion with the MMC Harris who's responsible for the parks, that if we do it right, we will monitor our parks using horses, not cars, because people must be able to talk to our officers in that regard. Street vendors and traders must comply, and everyone must have legitimate identification. I'm working very closely with MMC Bundu so that we ensure that you can't police what you don't have. Because right now, what is JMPD asking for? We will ask for the identification that you own this place, but only to find that you don't have that thing. We will bring an end to illegal dumping. As you know, that illegal dumping is a scourge in our city. Everywhere I can show you now where people are doing illegal dumping. We will impound your vehicles when you do illegal dumping, and the fine of 10,000 will be imposed. So we want to make it very clear under this multi-party government that Buya Mthetho will have a zero tolerance to such behavior. As you already know, we have deployed 1,800 officers in the inner city for Buya Mthetho. Others are complaining that we have taken these 1,800 from the regions. It is not so. These are the ones who passed in 2019, and they were deemed to be not qualified. They didn't have firearms, they didn't have infrastructure, so we take them while we were training them into the inner city until we get their infrastructure number. Let us work together to restore law and order in our city. Buya Mthetho